Hey, what's up guys? I'm Tony G and you're watching 1526 Barbecue. Today I'm going to give you my 1-year review of my pitboss 1100 Pro. Check it out. Alright, we're going to start off with the negatives, or the things that I don't like about owning my pitboss pellet smoker. The first thing is the ash pot or the fire pot clean out that's required. Now, in order for your pellet smoker to work correctly, you have to regularly clean out the ash pot. So in order to do that in a pitboss 1100 Pro, you have to remove all 3 of the cooking grates. Some units come with 2, so you'll remove both of them. Then you'll have to disconnect and remove your sliding plate, lift and remove your main broiler plate, and then you can vacuum out the ash pot. Now, I've made a modification to mine that makes it a little bit easier. The second thing that's not really a big deal to me, but I think some folks would call it a negative about owning a pellet smoker, is you get a slightly less smoky flavor on your barbecue. Now, I'm still a true believer that this is very dependent on the pellets that you purchase, but I haven't yet run that experiment. So I'm gonna do it soon, I promise, and then I'll share those results with you. But from my experience, comparing my pitboss with my Weber Smoky Mountain, the flavor of smoke is different on your pellet smoker. It's a lighter flavor, a smoother flavor. If you've never smoked barbecue, it's delicious, you're gonna love it. If you've been doing a stick burner for 20 years, you're gonna think it's too weak. For me, it's perfect. I can go either way. I can go with a heavy smoke or a light smoke, but the flavor that I get out of my pitboss is amazing, and I'm okay with that. So the last negative thing that I can think about owning my pitboss 1100 Pro is the vertical space, or really the lack thereof, that's inside of the pit. Now, you're supposed to have this second shelf installed, which I very, very rarely ever use it. With that shelf installed, you get, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches of vertical space before you hit that shelf. So that's why I normally keep mine out, that way I can reach the back of the pit a little easier. So that's really a negative for me, as I wish it was just a little bit taller. I mean, I'm talking like 3 or 4 inches probably, and I'd be right on. All right, now let's move on to the positives. So the number one thing that I love about owning my pitboss is the set it and forget it kind of mentality that you can get with owning a pellet smoker. Unlike a traditional stick burner or a charcoal smoker like the Weber Smoky Mountain that I used to have, you set a temperature, and as long as your hopper is full of pellets, you're good to go, right? You may have to come out every once in a while just to make sure the pellets aren't bridging. We talk about that a little bit in our 8 common mistakes to avoid video. You might want to check that one out if you're just getting into pellet smoking. But that's really it, right? So fill the hopper with pellets, set the temperature you want, and come out maybe once an hour just to make sure everything's looking good. The second thing that is a huge positive for me, and I think only pit bosses have them, is the flame broiler option. So in a pit boss, or at least in my pit boss and most of the pit bosses that I've seen, there's a center plate that slides out of the way, exposing the fire that's being created by the pellets. This allows you to use your pellet smoker more like you would a grill, and do some reverse searing or crisping up of skin on chicken, let's say. Or if you have anything wrapped in bacon, this is a good way to crisp up that bacon after you've smoked it for a while. I love having this option. I didn't really put that much value into it when I purchased the pitboss, but I'm so happy that I went with it. I couldn't imagine having a smoker that didn't have this option. Now, the last thing I want to talk about as a positive of owning a pellet smoker is the community that I've found. So I've been smoking, like I said before, for years, probably 6 or 7 years on my Weber Smoky Mountain. I used that thing maybe once every 2 to 3 months. It was just a hassle, so I wouldn't use it too often. Now that I have the pellet smoker and I can cook more often, I find myself joining forums and Facebook groups, watching YouTube channels just like this one, so don't forget to subscribe so you can join the community. It's really been helpful. I've grown a lot joining these different communities. So don't be shy, join today, subscribe to this channel. We also have a 1526 Barbecue Facebook page you can check out. I'm also on Instagram. I mean, and don't just subscribe to my stuff, join the whole community, right? There's a whole bunch of really, really good barbecue guys and gals out there that you should follow and get ideas from. All right, now that we got the pros and cons out of the way, let's talk about some of the modifications that I've done to my pit. The first thing I did right away is actually in the pellet hopper. From the factory or from the box, this thing comes with a safety grate. It's actually right here. I think the intention is so that you can't get your hands inside and stuck into the auger. But I mean, that thing's like 12 inches down and moves at a snail's pace. So I didn't really see the value of having this there. It got in the way. For the longest time, I kept the 2 back screws in and I would just be able to lift it up and get to my pellets. But even that got annoying, so I just removed it. And now that I've recorded this video, I'm gonna throw this away. The second modification that I did was actually to my cooking grates. So I found a stainless steel set of 3 that fit the pitboss 1100 Pro nearly perfect. It's good enough, trust me. There is a link in the description if you want to purchase them. The ones that come from pitboss are like a steel coated with ceramic or porcelain, and mine actually cracked due to the heat that comes out of the flame broiler. Now I know that pitboss would have very quickly replaced them with new ones. I've seen many posts in different forums and blogs about people having theirs crack and pitboss replacing them, but I wanted stainless steel, so I upgraded them. I think they were like 50 or 60 bucks. I went ahead and bought them off Amazon. Again, there's a link in the description. And the last modification that I did was actually turning my pellet smoker into a rotisserie. I don't think anyone's done this before. If you have, leave a comment, let me know that I'm not the first guy to do it. But at very least, this is the first time I've ever seen it. I haven't seen a video on it. I haven't seen it on Instagram or Facebook. So my pitboss 1100 Pro, I actually drilled a hole into the stack, and I'll show you a close-up of it. And from that hole, I can insert the spit for my rotisserie. I made this really easy stand to hold the motor, and that's it. Now I have a rotisserie in my pitboss. Now I just did that mod maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, so I haven't used it yet. I'm really looking forward to doing my first chicken or maybe a standing rib roast, and I got some other really interesting ideas to do with a basket that I purchased for it as well. So you may want to stay tuned and subscribe to see what comes out of that. So all in all, I am very happy with my purchase of my pitboss 1100 Pro. If you're thinking about getting a pellet smoker, I would highly recommend the pitboss. Look for one of them that has the option of the flame broiler so you can get that direct heat. It really makes a difference. Enjoy, semper fumis, smoke on. We'll catch you next time.